said when it comes to teaching young musicians, you want to give them a love for themselves and their abilities. But what does that conversation sound like?
Just what you play right here is great. You see how you do these things? Keep focusing on these things. Use these things to make these other things that are not as great better. Don't be shy, project your personality. Same things that people told you or I, you being my big brother. You know, it's the same thing that people would tell you when they were trying to tell you something that was accurate, that was also affirmative.
Mm-hmm.
So I once asked Abby Lincoln what jazz was, and she said, affirmation with an absolutely excellent approach.
Affirmation with an absolutely excellent approach.
So I always remember that answer. The affirmation, which is what we all are looking for, but an affirmation about you being yourself. We improvise in our music. We each have a totally different way of playing. Even Vince said he looked at everybody was playing trumpet. He wanted to play trombone. He didn't say, well, let me just follow everybody. Mm-hmm. Let me do something different. So we encourage you finding the things that make you unique.
Okay, question for both of you. I'll start with you, Wynton. I know it's probably been a lot. Name one musician who has influenced you and why.
Well, man. Elvin Jones. I would go to his house all the time. Great trumpeter, played with John Coltrane. And just the depth of his soul and engagement with music, his intelligence, his love of the music, of the history, it's just soulfulness. And Elvin.
And for you, one musician influenced you and why?
To say Frank Foster, someone that I knew pretty intimately, and
since for those who don't know,
Frank Foster was a great tenor saxophonist who played with the Count Basie Orchestra for the majority of his career. And after he left the Count Basie Orchestra, he reformed permanently a group that he had for at different times in his career called the Loud Minority Orchestra. And right around the time I moved to New York was when he was just reforming it again. And that would be the last iteration of it for the rest of his life. And I played in that group with him. But I'd known him since I was in high school. And he was one that was, as I really got serious about the music, he was the one that got serious about telling me how sad I was and making sure. He also told me, but I learned a really important lesson from him. As he was teaching me, he told me how sad I was, but he also gave me the solution. He also made sure to tell me, if you just done this, when you tried to play this would have sounded better. And that was very important to me as I teach people. Make sure, if you're going to point out the things that they need to improve upon, give them a pathway to make it better.
Wynton, you said in an interview, on any given solo, a musician can manifest something you never thought of.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so pick your brain here. Is there a moment you can recall that happening to you, or moments?
Oh, well, it's harder for you to do. Because you're in the moment of doing whatever you do, you don't know. Sometimes we co-sign each other. Vince played something the other night. He was bouncing on something, and Ryan Kaiser was our lead trumpet player, and I looked at each other and said, "He's bouncing tonight." He was bouncing. Does he know? I mean, he knows it has a certain feeling, but
so if there's a moment happening when you're playing, you're not aware that it's become something that you didn't expect.
Well, you may know that, but you're concentrating on what everybody else is doing. You're trying to keep your place in the form, play in time, concentrate on the logic of what you're doing. When you're playing, it's very intense. A lot is going on.
Right, and it's always communal. Even if you're playing solo trumpet or trombone, it's communal. Like there's always the presence of the other instruments that you'd be playing with,
right.
People that you'd be playing with you. Even if you're playing by yourself, you feel them. And so when you are playing with a band or group of people, you're taking into account everything that's going on around you, and they're taking into account, if they're the type of people that you really enjoy playing with, they're also taking into account what you're doing, leading the improvisation, and it's always communicative.
I've heard both of you talk about improvisation with jazz. It's a tenet of jazz, but. Right. How do you have improvisation if, as Wynton, you say, in a band you have to have balance? How do you keep the balance plus improvisation?
Well, that's what swinging is. And that's why that's the first thing that's abandoned. When somebody wants to not play one aspect of jazz, swing is the thing that you will abandon. Because that's the requirement. It's like any family life. Yes, you want to express yourself. You have a lot of brothers. You would like to eat everything. Did you eat? So with us, because we don't solo. Even last night, I had a solo on something. I was thinking 4 or 5 tunes before. I saw the 2 trombones got up on one. Like we're negotiating all the time of who's gonna play, because everybody in the band can really play. And when Chris and the other 2, and we have one of the most unbelievable trombone sections ever. Like they are a blessing. The level of greatness of that section and the difference of everybody, we all comment on it. Tony is driving the day. He said, "Man, what about that trombone section?" And we just started talking about how great everybody was. The 2 of them stood up and started playing on a solo that's designed for 1, because they're trying to negotiate the space. And I'm trying to figure out, well, I looked at the list now while we're playing, and I realized Vince hadn't played. So I said, well, take my solo on the next tune, just so we could hear him play. I mean, we sitting there tonight. The greatest thing about playing in a band like ours really is hearing everybody play. Right. Because anytime somebody starts soloing, you don't know what they're gonna play, and sometimes you just say, "Damn," you know. So we are all doing that. I mean, in this instance, I did it, but Chris Crenshaw's doing it, Vince is doing it. Yeah. Sherman, we're all thinking of who has played and who has not played.
Right. Is music in some way for you therapeutic?
Not just in some way. It's the spirit, of course. The concentration of it.
No, it is. It allows you, first of all, to address addressing, I guess, the most positive way you can the things that might be causing you any kind of problem or thing in your life. It just puts it right in front of you. But it also, it's kind of like the analogy that Wynton gives about the blues all the time. He said the blues is the disease and also the cure at the same time. That's what playing is like. Like when no matter what you feel like, you get a chance to actually play with some wonderful musicians that are also supporting and playing with you. It's the greatest thing. It's the greatest feeling in the world. It actually is. It allows you to see what it is, but you also have the solution for it right there.
Yeah. When you said jazz has defined your life.
Oh yeah, for me, no
how
question.
So? What does that mean?
Well, I grew up in the culture of the music, and the people I respected and admired were all jazz musicians. Not meaning I didn't admire other people, but just meaning who they were, how hip they were, intelligent they were, the seriousness that they conducted themselves with. And I mean, I can't speak for Vincent, but I'm sure. I mean, his dad is a great trumpet player, unbelievably soulful. His mom, just in the environment. And jazz musicians have a certain, we grew up with that non-judgmental kind of live and let live way. Right.
But always very direct. It was always very direct, and that's the thing I always loved about it. I mean, you hate it when it's directed towards you, but you love it for what it teaches you and how it makes you deal with situations directly. Right. And so, when you're dealing with something as when you're young, as sensitive as your own playing, and somebody's telling you somebody that can play is telling you that you can't, and you don't really know if you're ever going to get there. Yeah. But you can feel also in them telling you that you're going to get there. Yeah, you'll be okay. Because
you feel that love they have. Because they will bruise you. They're gonna definitely bruise you, but the love is so overwhelming. Like if I could, with Clark Terry and all the great musicians I was around, Sweets Edison, Dizzy, that love was always there. And if the love is not a part of it, then it's
right.
It's not the music.
Then they're just beating you up.
Well, it's not the music. Our music, but the love is always in there. I mean, it's just what it is. It's who they were and are, and it's who we strive to be, and who at this point who we are. I mean, we're not kids. We've been out here a long time, and the love that we have for our students and our kids is going to be evidenced by the playing of Vincent's youth orchestra tonight. Like they love him, he gives them that. Yeah. And when we play with each other, it's clear we don't have to make announcements about it. And at this point, we played together a lot of years.
Right. I know what the music does for you. What do you want the music to do for the audience when you are done?
The same thing it does for me. I mean, that's why I want people to know about it. And ultimately, that's why we want people to know about any great experiences we have. Because we know how transformative it has been for us. And we think, hey, if this can do this for me, this could be a meal you describing, or medicine, or a routine, or
Right. You may even hope that it might direct, ways that people are related to, even into practices of government and the way that things might go in the world and your communities and all that. We believe that it's a pathway that, if followed, it can cause a lot of harmony in the world.